are they on the front row at the All-Star game?
I'm telling you, Meghan's new publicity team, Meghan's new publicist is getting their money's worth. Between the last 2 weeks, Meghan is back in the game. They don't have anything of value to promote right now.
February 4th, 2026. Dubai International Airport was glowing with desert heat and luxury lights when Meghan Markle stepped off her private jet, expecting nothing less than red carpets, flashing cameras, and all the royal glam she still believes she deserves. She came dressed to conquer, ready for what she called her Power Week. Behind the scenes, hush-hush meetings were lined up with top luxury brand execs, private chats with media bosses, and even a secret dinner with mega-rich investors from the golf industry. Every detail was perfectly set for her grand March campaign launch. But, oh, things flipped in seconds. Just minutes after she landed, the whole vibe crashed. Border officers suddenly stopped her, escorted her quietly to a private room, and questioned her for over an hour behind closed doors. No cameras, no shouting, just silence and tension so thick you could feel it. Then came the shocker. The Duchess of Sussex was denied entry into the United Arab Emirates. Yes, denied, refused, and sent right back on the same jet she came in on. People couldn't believe it. The story spread like wildfire across airports and newsrooms. And here's the part that left everyone stunned. Instead of calling the U.S. Embassy for help, Meghan reached out directly to the British royal family.
I don't like repeating this rumor. And I told you I saw King Charles. I spent time with King Charles in October. I thought he looked very healthy. I talked to him one-on-one for a few minutes. I thought he looked great. I held his hand. He was warm to the touch. There are rumors that the king is not getting any better, and that this desperation we're seeing from Harry and Meghan is to establish themselves before William becomes king and strips them of any relevancy whatsoever.
Reports say she asked them for diplomatic support, insisting on her royal ties as Prince Harry's wife and the mother of 2 royal children. What a twist. Just think about that for a second. The same woman who once blasted the royals for being cold, cruel, and even racist, the same one who spilled every secret she could dig up, was now the one reaching out to them, begging for help. What a wild twist, right? But the reply she got wasn't just a rejection. It was a royal slap in the face. And what came next? It wasn't a simple no. It was a global statement, one so sharp it cut through every headline on Earth. Fast forward to February 5th, 2026, Buckingham Palace became the center of a media storm. One single icy message, just 17 words long, shook the world like an earthquake. And get this, it didn't come from some random palace source or anonymous royal leak. No, this came directly, officially, and ruthlessly from Prince William himself. His statement struck like royal thunder across the internet. The British royal family will not provide diplomatic sponsorship for Meghan Markle. She no longer represents the crown in any form, nor is she authorized to invoke our name for private endeavors. Let that sink in. That wasn't a "we'll look into it" or a soft "we wish her the best." Nope. This was a public erasure of Meghan's royal identity, executed by the future King of England himself. For the first time in modern royal history, a senior royal didn't just distance himself. He disowned a former family member right out in the open for the entire world to see. And guess what? The drama didn't stop there. Things turned even colder after that first royal thunderbolt. The palace statement didn't stop there. It went further.
I hate to repeat it, but this just doesn't make sense. Why are we seeing so much of this woman who doesn't have anything to offer us?
Well, that's the point. And I'm not sure Prince Harry has much to, or Harry has much to.
Hell to the no.
Slicing straight through any last bit of royal connection Meghan thought she had. It read, "Her Grace's current activities, travels, and affiliations are not coordinated with nor endorsed by the royal household. The United Kingdom's diplomatic channels remain governed by Her Majesty's government and respective consular authorities, not by spousal entitlement or media status." Those final lines hit like ice. Words such as spousal entitlement and media status might sound polite and polished, but everyone knew what they really meant. They were daggers wrapped in diplomacy. Prince William wasn't just being formal. He was drawing a gold-plated line in the royal sand. In his message, he basically said it loud and clear. Meghan's marriage to Harry holds no royal power. Her Hollywood influence means nothing. And her Duchess title? Dead weight. So, what exactly went down in Dubai that caused this international royal freeze-out? How did one of the richest, flashiest, and most image-obsessed cities on the planet end up slamming its Golden Gate shut on Meghan Markle? Something huge had to have gone wrong, and it definitely wasn't just bad luck or bad timing. According to top UAE border insiders and diplomatic sources, Meghan didn't arrive quietly at all. She flew into Dubai on a commercial first-class flight, but expected to be treated like royalty. Literally. Insiders close to her team say she demanded a VIP-style welcome, no questions asked, and a smooth red carpet landing to kick off what was supposed to be her next big luxury partnership, a glittering deal tied to elite golf brands and billionaire sponsors. But instead of applause, she walked straight into chaos. She showed up ready to own the runway, designer outfit sharp enough to turn heads, flawless glam shining under the airport lights, and a tight, polished entourage trained with one simple rule: stay silent and stay classy. Every move was calculated for a low-key but high-stakes business trip meant to keep her image spotless and scandal-free. But that smooth plan? It vanished in seconds. The moment Meghan stepped through immigration, the air shifted. UAE officers suddenly pulled her aside, claiming it was just for routine questions. Then, without warning, they directed her into a private room for what they called a standard review. Her passport was taken for inspection. No shouting, no drama, but the silence was so heavy it said everything. Inside that cold, quiet room, the message became crystal clear. You are not welcome here at this time. No explanations, no discussion, just a silent decision that changed everything. Within an hour, Meghan was escorted back through the terminal, avoiding every camera lens, and placed on the very next flight out. No arrest, no official report, and definitely no royal exit.
The idea that Harry will be getting his security back, which of course has not been formally confirmed, but is something that royalists like me very much fear, because it means he's going to be over more and more to try and cause trouble for William and destabilize the monarchy.
The UAE authorities stayed completely tight-lipped afterward, offering zero explanation for the decision. And here's the kicker. Under Article 11 of the UAE federal law on entry and residence, they don't have to say a thing. Border control there holds the full authority to deny anyone entry. No reason required, no appeal allowed. But here's where things really blew up. Meghan wasn't about to go down quietly. Not her style. Multiple insiders claimed that as she was being escorted out of the airport, she tried to pull rank, invoking royal diplomatic privilege. That's right, she allegedly dropped her royal ties at the border, hoping that one mention of the crown would swing the gates wide open. But this time, those royal connections didn't save her. They backfired hard. Can you believe that move? This is the same woman who once sat in front of Oprah, telling the world how cold, controlling, and unsupportive the royal family was. The same woman who said she'd been silenced, cut off, and forced to flee the UK for her freedom. And now, the moment things went sideways in Dubai, she was suddenly reaching for the palace hotline, asking the same royals she blasted to step in for her. The irony is almost unreal. According to insiders tied to the UAE's Foreign Affairs Network, Meghan didn't just ask for help, she insisted. She reportedly spoke to border officials as if she still carried royal authority, arguing she deserved diplomatic treatment for 3 reasons. First, she's still legally married to Prince Harry, a direct member of the royal bloodline. Second, she's the mother of 2 royal children, officially recognized as Prince and Princess under the legacy decrees of Queen Elizabeth II. And third, she was apparently on a tight schedule to return to California for Archie and Lilibet's spring semester registration. And that last point, that's where things start to get real interesting, because here's where things take an even darker twist. Sources claim those school registrations Meghan mentioned might actually tie into ongoing jurisdictional questions with California's Child Protective Services. Now, why would something as simple as school enrollment ever trigger that kind of attention? What's really been going on behind those heavily guarded Montecito gates? People have been whispering fast, and the rumors are spreading even faster. But let's rewind back to Dubai. Meghan's appeal didn't just disappear into red tape. No, it was reportedly forwarded straight to the royal household for verification. And that's when the palace decided to drop the hammer, cold, hard, and final. Buckingham Palace didn't send a polite, "We'll look into it," or a diplomatic brush-off. Instead, they fired back with a message that was sharp, icy, and absolutely final. She was on her own. Let's break that down, because this wasn't just a simple no. This was a royal shutdown of historic proportions. Prince William's follow-up response to UAE officials was even colder, nearly surgical in tone. Reports say he stated, word for word, that the matter of Meghan Markle's current travels is one for the appropriate consular authorities. We will not intervene. Can you believe that? The future King of England basically told a foreign government that Meghan Markle, the Duchess of Sussex, was no longer their concern. No royal protection, no diplomatic cover, no backup, nothing. Meghan was officially on her own, cut off completely. And just when the world thought the royal response couldn't get any colder, Princess Anne stepped in and delivered the final blow. If Prince William's words slammed the royal door shut, then Princess Anne's statement was the sound of every lock clicking into place. Just hours after his declaration, Anne, the royal family's no-nonsense enforcer known for her zero-tolerance attitude, stepped in and made sure the message was loud and final. She sent a direct statement to Commonwealth officials and key diplomatic partners, and it hit like a thunderclap. Her words were ice cold. It must be understood that Meghan Markle and her husband do not act on behalf of the Crown, the monarchy, nor the United Kingdom. Any associations drawn between their actions and the institution are purely speculative and legally unsubstantiated. Brutal! But Anne didn't stop there. She doubled down. She followed up with a clear warning against the use of royal titles in any form. No business deals, no product promotions, no media projects, and no international ventures that even hinted at royal ties. That wasn't a polite clarification. That was a royal warning shot fired across every border in the world. Her message was simple but deadly clear. Meghan's royal privileges were done, dusted, and gone. The world got the memo. Meghan Markle wasn't speaking for the crown anymore. She was selling for herself. And here's where it gets even juicier. This Dubai fallout wasn't just a one-off scandal. Insiders say it's the public eruption of something that's been cracking behind closed doors for months. The Montecito dream, that perfect image of glamour, influence, and control, is starting to look more like a collapsing empire. One built on brand deals, high connections, and borrowed prestige that's now slipping straight through her fingers. And the part Meghan really doesn't want the world to know?
That Scobie was invited to attend, which is just so offensive to anyone connected to the royal family. It's just so gross. Meghan actually told him that she would never return to the UK. And that absolutely backs up what I have said for so long, that she was plotting to bring down the British royal family, because otherwise she would absolutely have intended.
Oh, that's coming next. The eviction. Sources close to the owners of Meghan and Harry's Montecito mansion have finally confirmed what everyone's been whispering for months. The couple didn't leave their luxury home by choice. They were forced out. After months of quiet rumors, the truth is now out. Delayed rent payments, unauthorized renovations, and a fiery dispute over unpaid back taxes all pushed things straight to the breaking point. On January 14th, 2026, the so-called royal exiles were officially removed from the estate. It wasn't a dramatic scene. No flashing cameras, no shouting, just cold paperwork doing the talking. A quiet court filing buried deep in the Santa Barbara County records tells the whole story in plain legal language. The final note reads, non-renewal of private lease due to conflict with contractual use. Translation, the landlord had enough. Completely done. The eviction was carried out swiftly, silently, and without the slightest touch of the Hollywood sparkle that once defined their Montecito lifestyle. Gone were the days of Oprah interviews, designer backdrops, and royal glam brunches, replaced instead by a clean break and locked gates. But that was just the beginning of the downfall, because right as their living situation imploded, their business empire started to crumble too. Let's talk about the Spotify split. The couple's once celebrated $25 million deal, promoted as their bold, independent comeback, completely collapsed by the end of 2025. The reason? Simple but brutal. Low output, poor engagement, and never-ending creative control drama. What was supposed to be a new media empire turned into another royal meltdown. One contract, one controversy, one cancellation at a time. They delivered just one underperforming podcast season. That's it. One season, from a $25 million deal, and even Spotify execs couldn't spin it into a hit. The hype died quick, and the so-called comeback sounded more like static than a comeback beat. Then came the Netflix crash. What started as a promised $100 million mega deal for docs, features, and global projects has been chopped down to a loose holding agreement. Insiders say low viewership, behind-the-scenes tension, and rising brand risk tied to the Sussex name pushed Netflix to quietly let development contracts lapse by January 2026. No renewals, no new shows, no second chances.
Oh, well, that makes, you just go, and Harry's probably thinking, I don't want the press anywhere near there. But she loves to, this is how need to be a wannabe. It's that wannabe need for fame. And therein lies the problem. And for her, it's a drug for her.
The golden goose stopped laying and the streamer stopped pretending it mattered. A billion-dollar royal fantasy is unraveling fast. Deals collapsing, doors slamming shut, and the once glamorous Montecito image morphing into an all-out PR nightmare. Now let's dig into the Arch investigation. The scandal shaking the foundation of Meghan's post-royal venture. The Arch Foundation, once sold as her big philanthropic centerpiece, is now under dual probes in the US and UK for serious allegations. Authorities are reportedly probing claims of misused funds, sloppy tax filings, and questionable severance payouts. And former staff aren't keeping quiet. Several ex-employees have filed civil suits alleging wrongful termination and unpaid wages, and U.S. federal agents are reportedly examining false representations in partnership contracts tied to Meghan's commercial wellness ventures. This isn't just a hiccup. It's a legal and reputational storm that could scorch whatever's left of the brand. See the pattern here? This isn't bad luck or sloppy management. This looks like a full-blown chain reaction of collapse. Every project Meghan's touched since cutting ties with the royal family seems to crumble right in front of her. One scandal after another, one deal after another, all falling apart. And just when everyone thought things couldn't get worse, came the Tyler Perry betrayal, the twist no one saw coming. Remember, this is the same Tyler Perry who opened up his $18 million Beverly Hills mansion to Meghan and Harry when they first fled the UK. He gave them protection, privacy, and a home when the world turned its back. He literally sheltered them when things were falling apart. But now, reports claim that Perry has filed legal complaints, accusing the couple of manipulating him into transferring money under false pretenses. That's right. The very man who once called them family is now calling them deceptive. Let that sink in for a second. What does it take to lose a friend that loyal? How deep does the chaos have to run for someone who once gave you shelter and stood by you at your lowest to turn around and become a legal rival? The fallout is brutal, and insiders say it's only getting worse. And just as the Dubai denial makes global headlines, whispers are growing louder about what's being called the 4-point risk assessment, the behind-the-scenes checklist that may explain why UAE officials refused Meghan's entry. Yes, under Emirati immigration law, border officers have total discretion. But make no mistake, this wasn't some random decision. Something serious was going on behind that airport curtain. The 4-point risk assessment. That's what insiders are calling the secret internal memo passed between Emirati immigration officials before Meghan's denial. And if the leaks are true, this wasn't about paperwork or politics, it was about reputation, influence, and risk. According to diplomatic sources, UAE authorities ran a full image audit before her plane even landed. Point 1. Diplomatic overreach. Meghan's team allegedly tried to fast-track her clearance through unofficial channels, dropping royal connections and global influence as leverage. That move instantly triggered red flags. You don't flex titles in Emirati airspace unless you have government clearance. Point 2. Media sensitivity. Officials reportedly worried that Meghan's arrival would turn into a media circus. With cameras, influencers, and luxury brand crews waiting at the airport, Dubai didn't want to risk a publicity storm overshadowing official events that week. In their words, it's not Hollywood, it's a sovereign nation. Point 3. Financial clarity. Sources say investigators had flagged inconsistencies between Meghan's declared travel purpose and the sponsorship funds behind her supposed golf brand deal. Translation? Her business paperwork didn't match her story. And in Dubai, that's a deal breaker. And finally, point 4. Cultural integrity. This one's the real sting. Meghan's recent controversies and reputation battles were reportedly seen as potentially disruptive to social harmony and national values. In short, they didn't want imported drama on Emirati soil. Together, these 4 points painted a clear picture. Meghan Markle wasn't just another VIP traveler, she was a potential liability. Within minutes of that report reaching senior border officials, her entry was canceled, her passport returned, and the doors slammed shut. The glamour trip she planned turned into a global headline she'll never outrun. The backlash was instant and explosive. Within hours of the Dubai shutdown, international media lit up like wildfire. Headlines screaming, "Duchess denied," flooded every platform. Paparazzi footage showed Meghan's team scrambling at the airport, trying to block cameras as reporters shouted questions. The clips went viral before her plane even left the runway. By the time she landed back in California, the world had already decided.
And, the next big thing is she's trying to make herself seem relevant. She says she wants to come over for the launch of, or it's reported she wants to come over for the year anniversary of the Invictus Games in July. But the issue is security. She would be perfectly safe.
The royal rebel had finally hit a wall she couldn't charm or outtalk. PR experts called it a career-level crisis, saying the Dubai denial wasn't just a border issue, it was a global reputation check. Insiders close to Meghan claimed she was furious and heartbroken, calling the ordeal a political setup meant to humiliate her. But sources inside the UK's diplomatic circles painted a colder picture. One anonymous official was quoted saying, "She created her own storm. Now she's standing in the rain." Meanwhile, royal commentators across Britain didn't hold back. Some described the incident as the final unraveling of her post-royal brand. Others speculated that the UAE's decision reflected growing global fatigue with Meghan's drama-first diplomacy. Even former allies in Hollywood started to distance themselves, quietly pausing deals, freezing contracts, and waiting for the dust to settle. And the silence from the palace? Deafening. No sympathy, no statement, not even a courtesy response. For Meghan, that silence was louder than any headline. It signaled something powerful. She was officially cut off from the royal machine. From red carpets to rejection stamps, Meghan Markle's jet-set empire was crumbling in real time. The world watched as the woman once hailed as a symbol of modern royalty found herself grounded, not by fate, but by the fallout of her own name. Back in California, Meghan's comeback machine kicked into overdrive. Within 24 hours of landing, her team reportedly launched an emergency damage control operation. Crisis meetings, PR rewrites, and frantic calls to lawyers and media contacts. But insiders say this wasn't your average cleanup job. This was a full-blown fight for survival. According to one Hollywood publicist who's worked with her team before, Meghan's inner circle was in meltdown mode. Staffers were told to scrub social media mentions of Dubai, delete press pitches, and pull down any posts hinting at luxury partnerships. One insider claimed she wanted the story buried before it spread, but it was already everywhere. Then came the legal threats. Sources say Meghan's representatives sent out dozens of cease and desist letters to tabloids, YouTube commentators, and even former business partners who mentioned the Dubai incident. But here's the problem. The internet doesn't forget. Every attempt to silence the story only made it spread faster. Meanwhile, behind the glossy Instagram posts and carefully worded statements, tension inside her camp was boiling. Key advisors reportedly started backing away, worried about the legal heat and the growing media backlash. Some even accused Meghan of ignoring professional advice, insisting she could control the narrative on her own. By mid-February, her once polished brand, built on empowerment, elegance, and independence, was starting to crack. Rumors of unpaid staff, canceled partnerships, and spiraling costs were making rounds across Beverly Hills and London. And still, no word from the palace. No response from Harry either, whose silence was beginning to raise eyebrows. Insiders whispered that Meghan's world wasn't just spinning. It was unraveling at the seams. Now the question hanging over everyone's head, what's Meghan's next move? Will she fight back, disappear, or finally tell her side of the story? But the biggest question still hanging in the air, what about Harry? Will he stay locked in that quiet isolation, standing by Meghan's side even as the walls keep closing in? Or will this latest humiliation finally wake him up? People close to the couple say the tension's been building for months. Long nights, long talks, and even longer silences echoing through their California home. Maybe, just maybe, Harry's beginning to see it. That the freedom he thought he was fighting for might have turned into the very cage he can't escape. Once, he was the bold prince breaking royal rules. Now, he's a man caught in a media storm he can't control, standing beside a partner the world can't stop watching or criticizing. Only time will tell whether Harry finds the courage to walk out of the storm or if he'll stay there, drenched, shivering, and convincing himself this is the life he chose. The once golden couple of modern royalty now stand at a crossroads, one path toward redemption, the other toward complete collapse. So what do you think happens next? Can Meghan possibly bounce back from this spectacular fall, rebuild her empire, reshape her image, and rise again? Or will Harry finally reach his breaking point and break free from the life that's left them both trapped under the spotlight? The world is watching, and it's not looking away this time. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think the Sussex story is about to end or just getting darker? Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and comment to keep this story alive because, trust me, this royal roller coaster is far from over.